Welcome to Tech Gear Clothing. I'm Brandon, and this is Coleman's Top 5 Tents. Now, there's a lot of things that can be said about Coleman. They've been around for forever, and people generally consider them to be a Walmart-ish type of brand. But I want to put all of that aside, and I want to give Coleman credit where credit is due. Coleman, for many people, has been the first piece of aiding gear that has let them enjoy something in the outdoors. Primarily because they're cheap and really easy to find, and those two things starts the fire inside the adventurer's spirit and lets them get out and start to enjoy the great outdoors. Now, Coleman is well known to occupy that space. That really affordable, really easy to find, maybe not top quality, but gets the job done. And for that, I gotta say thank you, Coleman. Thanks for making it easy. And today I'm gonna be talking about my top 5 Coleman tents and why I love that Coleman has made these specific tents for very different campers. And without further ado, let's get into it. Coming in at number 5 is the Coleman Sundome 3-person. This tent has enabled probably more overnight adventures than any other tent in existence. Now, a few reasons why I love this tent specifically is because it's hard to not know how to set this tent up. It's durable, and you absolutely get your money's worth. It's perfect for a first-time camper, car camping, and hell, I've even taken on a couple of short backpacking trips because it's hard to get around how nice it is to have something simple. Now, the reason why I picked this 3-person version is because if you got you and a buddy and you're going out, you still have room in the middle of your tent to be able to throw down your backpacks, your extra gear, anything that you want to keep inside out of the elements if you're trying to adventure and have a set up camping spot for a few days. Now, that being said, there are a few drawbacks to this tent. It's not good for backpacking, and it's not good, especially for medium to harsh weather. And for all the tents on my list, one thing that was common is that these tents don't hold up that well to rain. Light rain, sure, no problem. But if you start to add wind to that, or you add hours and hours of rain, it's not gonna be the one you wanna go with. There's tons and tons of options out there that can be confusing and hard to sift through. Now, if you wanna know my overall top 5 tents in the whole industry, go ahead and click right here. I have my top 5 tents video, and you can go check it out and learn to see what are the options that actually exist out there. Now, while you're in the mood of clicking stuff, if you find this video or any of my other videos helpful, please hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and leave a comment below and tell me what your favorite tent is that you like to run with. Now, back to the Sundome. This is an excellent tent for a first-time adventurer, someone who's wanting to get out and try something new. This is your choice. Coming in at number 4 is a Coleman Hooligan 4-person backpacking tent. Now on my list of top 5 tents. Hello. Oh, you're fine. Yeah. Now on my list of these top 5 tents, this one is going to be the best for mild to harsh weather climate conditions. Now, there's a few reasons why this one's great comparatively, but there's also a few reasons why this one might not want to be your first option when you're considering mild to harsh weather camping environments. But let's start with the best parts of this tent, and that is absolutely the rainfly. This rainfly can be tacked down on all corners. Coleman says that it stands up to 35-mile-an-hour winds, and that is excellent. And one of my favorite features, if you watch my other top 5 tents video, is that there is a vestibule on this one. That means you have a place exterior of your main cabin to store your dirty shoes, your dirty gear, any wet items, stuff you want to keep out of the sun and weather. You got a spot for it. Now, that really is the story with this tent. The rainfly makes this a solid option for budget campers who are looking for something that's gonna hold up decently in mild weather climates. Now, again, if you're expecting to go camping often in mild to harsh weather camping, I would not suggest this tent, because if you're that type of person that wants to get out in that rough weather, that means you're born for the outdoors, and there's a lot better options that if you spend just a little bit more money, you're gonna be way more comfortable and glad you did when you come to use it. Now, there's one big drawback to this tent, and that is the height of the sidewalls of the tent itself. Now, if you're in great weather camping in the middle of the summer, you don't need any insulation, you don't need any protection from the elements, this tent is solid. The low sidewalls guarantee you a great view of the skyline and the stars at night, but that is where the benefits of the low sidewalls end. The problems that are caused from that are, number one, you do have a lack of privacy, which means if you want it, you have to throw the rainfly on, and if you're in the middle of summer where you would normally want the rainfly off, it's going to get pretty hot in that tent, especially during the daytime. And number two, while that rainfly is super solid, you have problems if you're dealing with wind that's carrying anything other than air. If you have dirt and debris, it's going to be able to tuck it underneath the edge of your rainfly and bring that into your tent. That is definitely not something fun to deal with. Your worst case scenario though, is if that wind is carrying rain and it starts blasting it at 35 miles an hour underneath your rainfly into your tent. It's not going to be very comfortable, especially when you're trying to get out of that type of weather. So again, if you're going to plan on doing a lot of mild to harsh weather camping often, spend a little bit more, check out my other top 5 tent videos, and figure out which one's gonna work best for you. Other than that, for the price and what you're getting with this tent, absolutely a great option. Now coming in at number 3 is the Coleman Carlsbad fast pitch darkroom 6-person tent. Now there's a lot there that we need to unpack. Now why is this 6-person tent the one that I picked out of all the versions? Well, that is primarily due to how this tent's going to be used. This is not a tent for backpacking. This is not a tent that you're going to be used primarily for really car camping. This is a tent for people who like to attend daytime and overnight events. Number one, like I said, it's a fast pitch tent. But number two, Coleman has their darkroom tech on this tent. And they have it for a few of their other tents, but I liked it specifically in this one, and I'll explain why. The Carlsbad is a great generic tent. It packs up to a decent size, and you have a bug screen vestibule on the outside, which means you basically can have a screen over your cave. Coleman says their darkroom tech can block up to 98% of the sun, which is great if you're a late riser, particularly because you're going too hard the night before. The bug screen allows you to keep your cave cool while still maintaining a nice view of the outside, whatever it is. And the reason why I picked the 6-person version is because you never know what's going to happen if you're in an event and you have a tent that's as cool as this one. If you're getting a little wild, you're having a great time, you're making new friends, this tent is super awesome, and it's definitely going to be a talking point for the people who figure out that it's blocking the sun on the inside. And their fast pitch option allows you to set this tent up 50% faster than their other tents. And one other really cool, really small little feature that Coleman did with this tent is they used a reflective material in the cinch lines when you're anchoring down your rainfly or your tent, so that if you're walking in the dark and you have a flashlight, you're going to be able to see them very easily. Now to sum it up, this tent is the perfect urban camping tent. It's got a large vestibule with a screen enclosure, and from all the reviews I could find, it is a great durable tent. But like most Coleman tents, you're going to want to only plan on using this one in light and fair weather. If you're in anything more complicated than that, number one, your event's probably canceled, but number two, you're not going to have a good time. But if you're an urban camper, like I said, this is the best option that you probably can get from Coleman. Coming in at number 2 is the Coleman Octagon 98 tent. Now this is one of the most fascinating tents that Coleman offers. It really is like setting up an instant hotel wherever you're dropping it. Now I want to stress one thing for sure. This is not a backpacking tent. It has a steel frame, which means it's heavy. It also means it's very sturdy. Now even with steel poles, Coleman says this takes about 15 minutes to set up, and it's a great option if you love to stand in your tent. But after you get it set up, you will instantly see why this tent gets my number 2 spot. This tent has an incredible 8 windows that allow you to throw open any direction of view that you really want. If you want 360 degrees, you open them all up. If you want 180, you just open up one side. It's really a cool feature. It gives you an extreme amount of privacy, and you can see why I call this an instant hotel. That option really makes it fun if you want a really nice enclosure, but you also want to get out and have a good time. Now this is something I want to stress. There are 2 rainfly options for this tent. There is basically a half wall version and there is a full wall version. Here I have the full wall version. I want to stress this. Don't make the mistake of getting the half wall version. If you are out there and get into anything beyond light rain, you're going to instantly regret why you got the half wall version. The carrying theme between all these tents is that they're budget friendly and that they leak if you get into any type of wet situation. And the one thing you can do to protect yourself against that, or to stay it as long as possible, is to have an excellent rainfly. That's why I highly suggest you get the full rainfly if you're planning on picking this tent. Now beyond that 360 degree view of those 8 windows, This tent easily fits an air mattress to really amp up your comfortable evening in a hotel-like tent. But like I said, this tent is not for backpacking. It's really broad, so it's gonna catch the wind really well. Benefits of having those steel poles, but you need to stake this thing down if you don't want it rolling away. All in all, this is an excellent tent if you're a luxury car camper. Coming in at number 1 is the Coleman Instant 4-person tent. Now there are a number of reasons why this tent hit number 1 on my list, because I believe that it does the best at what it does, especially at its price point. This tent comes in a 4 to 10-person version, and this tent sets up super fast. The pre-attached poles allow you to set it up in under 60 seconds. And that's an incredible feature if you're trying to get out there and just set something up to have a good time. It's a tall tent, so it's going to allow most people to be able to stand up inside. It has 4 windows. The floor is durable, tear resistant, and water resistant. And if you're one of those urban campers like I talked about before, this has a darkroom feature available, which really means you can set this up for an instant party. It is big enough to fit a queen-size airbed, it has internal storage pockets, and overall, this tent is the tent you're gonna wanna get if you're the Coleman buyer. Now, Coleman has a stigma of being a Walmart brand. It's not, you know, the people think, oh, it's a cheap tent, because number 1, it is cheap, but number 2, it's not built quite as well as these other tents. But I know plenty of people, I myself included, who've owned tents like these, Coleman tents specifically, and they've lasted for years, done everything that it needed to do if you're going to live in the light, fair weather camping world. Don't shy away from these really great options just because of the stigma. This tent is really solid, but all 5 of these tents that I talked about in this video today are really great options for a number of different reasons. We have your party goers, we have your luxury car campers, we have your light weather backpackers, you have your just basic generic tents. These all are built specifically for different types of campers, but they're all relatively affordable and allow you to, if you want to start or want to get back into it, it's just a very, very low barrier of entry to get back into enjoying the outdoors. If you want to get back into it, just do it. I have links for all of these products in the description below. If you want to check them out, if you want to read some reviews, do that. Camping's fun. Being out in the great outdoors is excellent. It's rejuvenating. It's something that we need, especially after being cooped up for so long. Go out, enjoy yourself, have fun with your family and friends, and all that being said, get out and just stay out. I'm Brandon, this is Tech Your Clothing. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you found this video helpful, or don't, and have a great day. Peace.